Hi there everyone, it's Cassie. Welcome back for another Miss Ink Stamps video. Today I'm going to be playing with this fun Christmas stamp called Blitzend. It's got some super cute images, some more adult themed sentiments in there, but some really fun ones as well that could go either way. So we're going to use that stamp set. We're also going to pair that up with our scene builder. This is the tree line and it's pretty long, so it works out really well. And then I want to use my mixed media paper. I've been kind of on a kick lately of using my distress colored pencils, and so we're going to use that along with this mixed media paper. That's going to work really well for our background. So I'm taking the 6x8 paper. I'm going to trim this down. We need to have a background. I've cut this down to be 4 inches by 5 1/4, so I do have a little bit of a border all the way around. It's not the full size of an A2, but it's pretty close because I do want to back that. And then I'm going to bring in my Waffle Flower media mat or grip mat. And then I'm going to take my stencil and we'll just put that down right on top. You'll notice there's two parts to it, the top and the bottom. And I'm going to work on my sky first. So I brought in some Uncharted Mariner in my little Distress ink cube along with a Blending Buddy brush. And I'm just going to start kind of at the base of the trees and move up. I wanted to do this a little bit differently, almost like it's the darkest in between the trees and the moon is shining down from the top. Typically, I don't do it that way. I go really dark on the edges, but I really wanted there to be some sort of light kind of coming down from the top. And then I can just shift my stencil, just move everything up, and you can see that that now covers the sky, and I can work on my tree. So I'm going to bring in just some mint tape to block off where I want my snow to be, and then I'm going to bring in some forest moss, I believe. It's the dark one. It's really dark. And we're going to use another color Blending Buddy, and we're going to just blend into our trees. And kind of going from top down so that the bottom of those trees is a little bit lighter than the top of the trees. And then this is a very simple background. And I think it really packs a punch. It looks like a really cool winter scene. And I can't stop there because I just can't help myself. So I am going to bring in some silver splatter. I'll have some linked down below. This one's not available anymore, but I do have a couple different kinds. This one is just on my desk all the time. Anyway, I have to splatter all over the background. It makes it look like it's almost snow or maybe stars or just whatever. It gives it kind of an ethereal look, and I really like that. And it gives it a lot of sparkle. So that's my background. I'm going to set that off to the side to dry while I work on stamping out my image. So I've got our cute little reindeer who is asleep and covered in lights, and we're going to ink him up with some VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. I did bring in an anti-static powder tool. I want to heat emboss him. So I've the VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink is perfect for that. And once again, this is that mixed media paper, so it's good for watercolor as well. Stamp that a couple times. And then this is a pigment ink, so it will stay wet for a little bit. And so I'm going to cover that with some clear embossing powder. That's just going to make that black kind of puff up and be shiny. So yeah, I'll hit that with my heat tool. It'll go from kind of a subdued to a shiny black, because that clear embossing powder just picks up the color that's underneath, and that was perfect. And while I have everything out, I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment as well. This is just a bit more of that mixed media paper that I had trimmed down off the side of my card. And so we'll stamp down our sentiment that says, "The tree isn't the only thing getting lit this year." And I'll cover that with some clear embossing powder, and then once again we'll heat set that because this is going to be on the outside of my card. So I wanted it to match my little image. Super, super cute. So as you can see, I've brought in a water brush, and as I said, I wanted to use my Distress watercolor pencils. I'm going to use sets 1 and 3, and I've said this before because I've been on such a kick of using these lately, that there's a couple different ways to color with them. Sometimes I get these confused thinking that they're like crayons. I don't have any of the watercolor crayons. Well, actually, I think I have a couple, but I don't use those very often. These have that creamy consistency, almost like a watercolor crayon, but because they go on so smooth. Different than most of the watercolor pencils that I do have. So I really, really enjoy these. I like to put the color down right on and then spread that out with my water brush. I also like to take my brush right to my pencil and pick up color that way. There's obviously lots of ways to use these, but those are the two, if you're coloring an image, that I find is most easiest, at least for me. But experiment with them if it's something that you have. Super fun. So I've been, typically I use my alcohol markers, but recently I've just been on a kick of using these, and they're just so much fun. I really like the different look that they give, which is a little bit different from alcohol markers. So I'll wipe off my brush on my rag over on the side and just grab various colors. I thought I wanted this tattered rose for his ears and his antlers. Turns out I don't want it for the antlers. I'll come in and change that up when I bring in set number 3. I think this one is set 1. It might be set 3. Either way, I've got both. But you'll notice that I did swatch those out. I find that incredibly important to always swatch your stuff, because then you know what it looks like on paper. Just looking at the crayon or the pencil isn't going to give you exactly what it's going to look like on your paper. And it's also a good idea to use it on various types of paper that you use, so that way you get an idea of how it looks on the different papers. All right, so bringing in this set, I want to use that black soot for his hooves, and I bring in a little bit of that at the bottom for his antlers, and then I'm also going to bring in that, I think it's gathered twigs, for his antlers, just to cover up, because it's just a little too light for me. I want it to be a little bit darker. So you'll see me do that here in a second. And the lights, I end up going back to that first set that I was using for the lights. But this set was perfect. I wanted his antlers to be a little bit darker. And then for the lights, I pull in a dark blue. I think that's Prize Ribbon. No, that might be Faded Jeans. Faded Jeans, and then actually I use Crushed Olive for the other one. I wanted more of a yellow light, and while that Crushed Olive is definitely an olive color, if you go light enough, as you can see on the screen, it looks a little bit more yellow, and in person it does a little bit as well. If I'd made it darker, it definitely would have looked more green, but I kept it fairly light. And then once we get done coloring up those lights, we're going to be done coloring him entirely. So now I need to fussy cut him out. So look at him, isn't he fun? So I'm going to grab in my scissors and we will fussy cut around him. I'm just going to leave a nice white border around him. And I mostly keep my scissors where they are and just kind of move my paper. But you could use your silhouette, however you want to do that. But he's actually pretty simple to cut out. As long as I wasn't trying to go right on the line, which I don't do so much these days, he's pretty simple to cut out. You only have to go around a few things. His hooves, his face, and a little bit inside the lights. But yeah, he was pretty simple. And that's actually the hardest part of this card, really, is the fussy cutting. All right, so now I'm going to bring in some pattern paper. I just want a little bit of that on the background. This is just some cardstock or pattern paper that I had in my stash that was more of a wintry theme, more of a holiday theme. And so I brought in these snowflakes, and I'll bring in my card base that measures 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches, and then it's folded at 4 1/4. You could use your score buddy or whatever to score that, make it a little bit more crisp line. And then I'll use my liquid glue to adhere down my panel to my patterned paper. And that just gives it a little something. It's not real crazy. It's not real heavy, dark, or anything like that. So it's just subtle on the background. And then I'll attach this down to the front of my card base. And you'll notice I have this strip. I always like to use those extras, so I'm going to put that on the inside of my card. And then I'm going to grab in one more sentiment to put on the inside using my VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. This one says, "'Tis the season to get blitzened." So pretty funny. This is just a funny card. I do love the humor cards for sure. And then I'm going to trim down my sentiment out just a little bit more using my guillotine trimmer. And you'll notice I have some foam tape over there. I'm going to attach down not only my sentiment, but my little reindeer with some foam tape to the front of our card panel. And I definitely think I want to make more of these. The other little image in this set is so darling. It's a little mouse asleep inside of a little martini cup with a candy cane. He's so cute. I've used him before, and this is just one of those sets that I will never get rid of because I just love it. It's just funny. And I'm about the funny a lot of times. So using my T ruler just to make sure that that's on there fairly straight. May not be actually. It's straight enough. And so like I said, we'll bring in some more of that foam tape and put that on the back of our reindeer as well. Pull off the release paper and then we can set him down as well. And now that's going to finish off our card. I just really love how this one turned out. I hope you do too. If you do, hit that like button. Definitely consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. And be sure to check out all that Miss Ink Stamps has going on over on their blog, Facebook page, and Instagram for more crafty inspiration. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you soon.